Hey guys, it's Steven here. Welcome back to another big roundup of all the Manchester City transfer news. It's absolutely swelteringly hot in Manchester. Hopefully that fan behind me there, hey look, I've got a big fan. Never mind, poor joke aside, is going to keep me going. Hopefully it isn't too noisy on this camera, but I need it on. It's just so hot. I'd be sat here with nothing on if it wasn't on videos. It's that hot here. Anyway, today we're going to go through the transfer rumours as things are hotting up elsewhere. Once again, another terrible pun. Before we do that, though, I want to say thank you to OneFootball for continuing to sponsor my channel. OneFootball is absolutely fantastic. It's as hot as the sun outside of Manchester, in the Manchester skies. My brain is frazzled. Go download OneFootball right now in the link in the description below. It's a fantastic app with all the Manchester City news and all the transfer gossip and all the latest from the world of Manchester City sent straight to your phone. It costs absolutely £0, £0, $0, €0, whatever your currency is. It's free, and over 10 million people are using OneFootball daily. So go and download it right now, and it nourish your phone and get the best football app on the market, bar none, and help support my channel. We've got a load to talk about today. I'm going to talk about what this Nuno Mendes saga means. We're going to talk a little bit as well about Scott Carson, who's re-signed, which is obviously a few days ago, which I've not mentioned yet, and Troy's and the friendlies and the Nmecha as well. But we're going to start initially with the Nuno Mendes saga. And the reason I'm bringing this, I'm saying what it means, is because I think there's a deeper meaning to this, which is kind of encouraging for Manchester City fans. Now, I'm going to start initially with the claims, basically. Sports Witness via Record Portugal apparently have claimed that City have been preparing an offer of between 30 to 35 million euros for Nuno Mendes. And Sporting will not negotiate for that as they continue to demand around 50 million euros for the 19-year-old Portuguese left-back, helped by a release clause in his contract of 70 million. Apparently, Sporting don't want to rush a sale. The president is ready to wait until January if necessary, with United, Barca and Madrid all interested. However, City have left-back as a priority in the summer market, according to Record Portugal. Duncan Castles, as well, on his transfer podcast, said City like Nuno Mendes, and Cheeky believes he's best player in Sporting squad. However, City are not interested at Sporting's 60 million euro price. And even Fabrizio Romano weighed in on this, saying City are leading the race to sign Mendes, but we're way off Sporting's valuation of 50 million euros and prepared to offer around 25 million euros. They were all the claims, basically, from some relatively big sources. Now, the response today has been really interesting because you can tell this has been a briefing from the club. Around about the same amount of time, a few hours ago, all of the Manchester press pack, basically, and what I mean by that, all the Northern football correspondents for a lot of big papers and so on, they all basically tweeted or wrote a story at the exact same time, roughly, about Manchester City's interest, or lack of interest, in Nuno Mendes. First of all, Jack Gorn from the Daily Mail, he tweeted... basically, the Man City are forcefully reiterating that they're not interested in signing Nuno Mendes from Sporting this summer. Forcefully reiterating. And then Martin Blackburn from The Sun, who's a Northern correspondent as well, said Manchester City have insisted Nuno Mendes is not and never has been a target for them. Simon Bukowski, who's the Manchester City correspondent over at the Manchester Evening News, wrote this piece saying, however, City's interest in the player has continued to be reported by both Portuguese and British media on a persistent basis. That has caused immense frustration at the club, who've been nothing against the player but simply have no plans to buy him. Now, it makes you wonder why all those three have been briefed basically the same strongly worded stuff at the exact same time. Well, let's look at the facts, basically. Miguel Pino is his agent. He's also the same guy that represented Bruno Fernandes. If you recall last summer, and I was taken in by this, there was loads of rumours coming out from the same people, the same sources last year, saying that Manchester City are close to signing Bruno Fernandes. They're going to get him. He's going to be the number one signing. Where City apparently were always like, no, we're not interested in him. And now the same thing is happening by the same agent representing the same player. You do wonder if this is Miguel Pino's just general style. He drums up interest by linking to big clubs and keeps using these clubs as a way to drum up a profile for the player. Because it worked last year, of course, with Bruno Fernandes. This is throwing City's name out there constantly, even though City were never linked to it. I do think, actually, that City, of course, City have watched Nuno Mendes. I do think, of course, he is a player that City have paid attention to. Of course he is. You know, he's a high-quality player. He started for Portugal in the Euros. He's got loads and loads of talent. And yes, left-back is an issue for the club and has been for some time. People would argue how much of an issue it is, but I think it's fair to say that we've never fully solved that, and there's still some question marks potentially over that position. depending on your take on Zinchenko and Cancelo, but it's not ticked off entirely, as I would say. So yeah, of course City would have been paying attention to him, but I think it's pretty obvious that all these claims to me that City have been bidding for this player, I think they are fabricated. I do think they come from the agent, and I do think City are denying it out of frustration. One thing I will say is this has been a trend. These press back have been briefed on a few players now. They were briefed on Mendes. They were also briefed on Griezmann. All these people came out and said City aren't interested in Griezmann and Lewandowski, and of course a little bit about Ings as well at one point, which tells me something. Those 4 players have all been linked to Man City, and they've been denied constantly by the same people with the same links to the club potentially. That tells me something, that we're not interested in those players, but it also tells me a lot that's not happened about Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. That doesn't mean we'll sign him, but it's pretty telling in my personal opinion that there's been no denial from these people about Kane and Grealish. There hasn't. Put 2 and 2 together, and you're going to get 4. And the fact that basically City aren't denying the interest in Kane and Grealish, to me, says that actually maybe there is something in this. Well, I think we know it is, but the point I'm making, and we all know it's true, but this is like, it's a method of deduction that kind of proves it's true in my personal opinion. Whether we get these players or not, I honestly don't know, but I think the interest in Grealish and Kane, they are the targets. And all this stuff around Griezmann, Lewandowski, Ings, Mendes, they aren't the targets in my personal opinion. I think City's constant denial to the same journalists who are close to the club is proof that we have to ignore that, and actually that City are trying to work on these 2 deals. It is frustrating that they haven't happened or anything like that, but I think we can learn a lot from the Nuno Mendes saga. In fact, actually, we know where City's priorities do actually lie, and that this is all just noise, and City are quite willing actually to brief when they're not actually interested in the player, which says that like their silence on Kane and Grealish is, in my opinion, relatively telling. In terms of Kane and Grealish, of course, there's no real update. It's gone quiet. Even Fabrizio Romano was saying on Twitch how, there's been no update. We'll have to wait a few days. And I think sometimes you do have to wait a few days. Who knows what's going to happen? We'll see on that. Elsewhere, Scott Carson. I didn't do a video because I think I was away at the weekend or whatever. Scott Carson has signed. Cheeky said, Scott brings a wealth of knowledge. He's a former international who has played in lots of big games. We know he's always ready to play. The lads love him. I know his experience has been a huge help to Edison and Zach Steffen. Scott himself said it's a pleasure and privilege to be part of the setup at Manchester City. To be around Pep and his backroom staff is fantastic. I feel I've learned so much since I joined in 2019. The lads made me feel at home straight away, and I've loved every second of my 2 years. To commit for another year was such an easy decision. I want to continue pushing the other goalkeepers we have here, and I want to make sure my experience rubs off on them. Carson is planning to rub off on everyone. Either way, I love this. Scott Carson has become a meme, but he's become a likeable, affable legend in his own kind of cult hero kind of way. There's a lot to be said for having likeable players around. Of course, he's just a backup keeper, and he's probably not going to play, fingers crossed, and I mean this because it means that no one's getting injured, not going to play any meaningful role next season, but I do like him being there, and I do like he has this connection, it's down to worth 5, and I also like the fact that he looks like just some middle-aged bloke who's wandered in, and he's just hanging around with all these young footballers. He definitely looks like 10 years older. He looks even older than Fernandinho, and he's only my age. Scott Carson is my age, and I honestly reckon I could convince people he's my dad. I genuinely think I could. Maybe not. But I think I'd be a young dad, but I think I could. I think I could argue Scott Carson is like 42 and that I was 27 maybe, and he was a young maybe, we'll see. Let me know in the comments if you think that could be argued. Elsewhere, good news by the way, there's been some friendly news. The Troyes friendly has been cancelled, which is a big shame, due to government restrictions making it basically unworkable. We see haven't got any more friendlies planned other than that, which is a big shame. And there's also a bit of a blow for the Preston North End game at the Academy Stadium. I was so excited to go and see that next week on a Tuesday, but it's going to take place behind closed doors now. No fans will be allowed in the stadium, which I'm gutted because I thought it would have been lovely to watch that. It will be available to supporters on the City Plus subscription, but it's quite telling for me that once again we're going to have barely any games before the season starts. We're going to have the Preston game, which is going to be behind closed doors, and that's kind of it really, other than the Community Shield game. It's a bit of a shame, man. I do love pre-season friendlies. I love them because they get to give academy players, a chance to impress and all that kind of stuff, and we're just not going to see that. We're not going to see them get a chance to impress anywhere near enough. Obviously, they'll train with Guardiola, but we want to see them in games. I miss the days of like 4 pre-season games. I like seeing them. I love them. Hopefully, if the world's in a better place, and fingers crossed it will be next year, we'll see the return to friendlies, because I miss them, man. I miss them an awful lot, and I wanted to see how McAtee, Delat, Palmer, Lavia, and all that lot got on. The Nmechas have been busy. Both Felix and Lukas Nmecha have signed for Wolfsburg. Obviously, Lukas Nmecha going back to Wolfsburg. Back, obviously, now as a more senior player, given his time at Anderlecht. And there's one particular interesting quote from Lukas Nmecha. He said, "Man City are getting another top striker. I don't think my chances would have been very good there." Very interesting, Lucas. Tell us a little bit more about this, mate. Lucas is lovely, by the way. I've said hello to him a few times. He recognised me once in Vans in the Trafford Centre. True story. He went, "How you doing, mate? You all right?" Big love to Lucas. And his family are all lovely. I've chatted to him a lot of academy games. Lovely, lovely people. But either way, that's interesting. Generally very, very interesting. I mean, I'm not sure if he's alluding to a certain player there or just alluding to general broad plans. Because I think the City would have said we plan to sign a striker. And I think Guardiola's never really hidden that. City have always kind of made it obvious that we're going to plan to sign another striker. I don't know if he means we're about to sign one. I don't know if he means broadly. I would sense it's broadly. I don't think we've told Lucas Nmecha the inner workings of our transfers. I don't think they've gone, "Lucas, we are about to sign Harry Kane." You might have heard something, but I don't know. But either way, I think it's interesting little anecdote there, and I wish him all the best as well. A good player. I'm not sure he's Manchester City's level personally, but he's a very good player, and I've always said he'll find a way to a top level. I've always said that. I don't know how far he'll go, but I've always felt he will find his way there. Felix going there as well is interesting. His contract expired. Felix, he's a very, 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 very talented player, but I feel like it's the right time for him to move as well. It's a shame he's moved on a free transfer, but I think sometimes Felix doesn't really know his own ability sometimes. He's immensely talented, but I would say occasionally on the pitch he lacks a little bit of discipline. Not in a sense like he's a bad person or everything like that, but I would say he kind of switches off every now and then, and he needs to find a way to insert himself in the game more consistently. Such a technically brilliant player, such a natural goal scorer, such a natural striker of the ball. Maybe being around his brother, to living with his brother over in Germany. Obviously, they both got German heritage as well. Maybe being around his brother will help him settle and focus. It's a big opportunity for both of them, and I sincerely hope that they both do really well, because they're both lovely people and the family is lovely too. Big love to the Nmechas. Guys, that is my roundup of the news. I can't wait for the weather to get a little bit cooler, because it's so hard to sit here and edit when it's a bit hotter. And hopefully there'll be some more news next week, because it's been absolutely dead, hasn't it? It's been really dead. There's been not much going on, but I reckon it should start to pick up at least next Tuesday. There's friendlies. For now, though, thank you to Scott Denemy for being an absolute legend, my Patreon producer, and thank you to everyone, of course, who helps support the channel. You're all absolute legends, and all the names scrolling down on the side of the screen. And make sure to hit that like button if you want to help support the channel, and subscribe as well. And I'll be back tomorrow for another video and a big old Twitch stream as well. In a bit, guys.